and rise from ash. Jade, Lavender, and Scarlet Phoenix power. Together we will rise. They tried to burn us, we glowed like a flower. They didn't know we had a Phoenix's power. Phoenix power.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Jade Feinics. I'm back. How you doing? And I got a full house today. I got both my crew with me, and it's amazing. And coming back from a 2-week hiatus? I would say about 2 weeks. We have Lavender.
I think
It
about
all
two.
started when I was born.
Hi, Lav.
I want all the viewers to know that I'm queen waving, you know? Like doing the little
The little, like,
hand.
small, like,
the
cup-
princess,
small, like,
princess
like,
bride
little-
wave.
Yes, the
Flat
princess
hand
bride
cup.
wave. Much better visual.
The princess bride
Yeah.
wave. Okay.
Princess bride wave.
And then if you
Happy
can't
to be
tell,
back.
Crimson's here too. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, everyone?
How you
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, you know, it's good. The week is weakened.
That is true.
I
A
feel
week
that.
does week.
It is officially, I can't leave the house without sunblock weather. The sun,
That
Valid.
sounds
Dude.
amazing.
the sun wants to
It is
kill
amazing.
me. It wants to
Well,
hurt
for me, that tells me that it's great weather.
For you,
For me.
you tan. I do not.
You see,
Yeah.
I live in that, like, almost like self-flagellation kind of experience where I love that sun, but the sun doesn't love me.
That's abuse.
It is.
That's
So I'm
abusive.
so excited to be outside, and I will do anything to be outside in this type of weather. However, my poor skin doesn't always love it. And no matter how much sunblock I put on, I still get sunburned. I even got a little sunburn a couple of weeks ago. So
Hell no.
totally get that. I do, but I love it.
Okay.
I can't help it.
Prime example. And this is how the Phoenix Nation will know how pale your girl Jade is. I'm translucent. I got a minor sunburn already driving home from New Jersey on Monday morning. I was in my car. And I got a sunburn.
It's shown through.
Dude.
That's hilarious. What the fuck?
I get out and my shoulders are like, I'm like, ow, why does my skin hurt on my shoulders? I look in the mirror, my shoulders are red. I'm like, I was in my car. I wasn't even out in the direct sunlight. What the fuck?
It's not even full on summer.
No, it's not.
That's actually so funny that you say that because I was talking to Ralph and he was like, it's just skip spring. Nothing happened in the middle. It just went from like 40 degrees to 90 and I can't do it.
No. On top of that,
Well, I
like,
was like sitting there like, and I'm the weirdo who's like, please bring it on. Give me that sun. I don't care. Well, actually, no, I mentally care because like the environment, but
yeah.
I do love warm weather and it makes me feel just a little bit better, especially with how the week's been weakened.
Yeah. And then on top of everything else, like, it's an El Nino year. Like, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
Anytime I hear the El Nino, all I can think of back is to the Chris Farley skit of
yes.
of him being dressed in like a mariachi kind of like hoochie shirt and just going, I am El Nino. That is Spanish for the Nino. And I'm sorry, that lives in my brain.
Jeez.
I will never not think of or hear that exact fucking soundbite in my head whenever someone goes, oh, it's an El Nino year. It's going to be really hot out. The Nino. I can't. Sorry. I will not apologize. R.I.P. Chris
No,
fucking
please
Farley.
don't. We love Chris Farley in this fucking house.
Yep. Like, prime example, I had to run around today outside in the real world. I put on sunscreen, and I am very fucking glad that I did because DigiNan did not, and he already got darker. I'm looking at him, I'm like, I hate you. How dare you be able to tan? I did not get... It must be nice. I did not get the Italian side of those genes. So, here we are.
No,
It looks like it's more
I get
Irish than that. So
I am
You see, that's
definitely
the
Irish.
thing. The big thing, Crimson, is there's also Black Irish.
Yep.
So some Irish people can tan. And for example, my brother is like that. Like he goes in the sun. Like my mom calls him brown bonnet because he gets
brown
like,
bonnet.
yeah, because like the old ice cream treat. Because he gets like so tan.
Nice.
And like
Yeah.
everyone else in my family can tan. I'm the only one who can. And it was so sad. And the only time I could tan was when I lived in Florida. But that was because my body was like getting used to Florida weather. Because at that point I'd been there like almost 2 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you built up a skin
So-
tolerance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of my skin just like getting red and going back to white, it got like slightly less pale.
Every single
So I
time.
have a little bit of that now, but I keep wondering, like, maybe if the spicy cough did not happen, I would have been able to tan.
Spicy cough.
I'm telling you.
I like that.
The spicy cough, you know, kind of, I already, like, we're talking about, your girl is so translucent, she's gotten an actual sunburn from a full moon.
Yes, I remember
That's
that.
funny. I remember that. Too.
Yeah.
I think you remember you mentioning that.
Yep. Everybody's like, no, you didn't. No, I actually did. And it was,
No, it was witness.
it has happened. Everybody's like, how? I'm like, I don't fucking know, but it did. So, a lot of people think it was windburn. I think it was both. Either way, my skin burned and I was uncomfortable. And fuck all of you who have melanin. I have none. Everybody goes, oh, well, do you freckle? No, I don't. I actually literally don't freckle either, which is a blessing and a curse. Because I think
I
freckles
do
would look really
freckle.
cute. I don't freckle.
But like, I don't get them on my face. I get them all over every other part of my body.
I used to get freckles on my
So-
face as a kid. I don't anymore.
Right? It's like I have some of them, like really light ones if you look like really, really close.
Yeah.
But like I don't really freckle on my face.
Yeah.
It's literally all over. It's mainly on my legs and arms.
Yeah.
And there's this very funny story. Well, I literally got a really bad sunburn maybe like a few years ago. And now perpetually that one side of my leg has like a million freckles and like the other side has nothing.
That's funny. No.
So people will like point it out and be like, what happened there? And I'm like,
Do you
like,
notice
sorry.
did you notice how Crimson is staying curiously silent? Because Crimson has melanin.
Crimson can tan.
Crimson
Listen,
can turn a very lovely brown.
Listen.
Okay, Navi.
I got no comment.
Yeah, because in your head you're going, yeah, I'm gonna look hot. I'm gonna be all brown and shit.
We all gonna be jealous of you.
Yes, very much so. Very much the jealousy of the
Very jelly.
very jelly of the tan
know I am.
skin. Very jelly of the tan skin. But honestly, you know what? Phoenix Nation, if you're not already following us on our social media, you should be, because how about we do a little experimentation and we post pictures of how we look in May versus pictures of how we look in August.
That'll be hilarious because, like, let's just be realistic. Me and Jade will look exactly the same. I might be slightly less white, And then you'll just have crimson.
Just tan.
Just looking straight Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Well, would you
And I could.
would you
Oh,
look
I could.
would you look Puerto Rican or would you look Portuguese?
Oh, no. I can definitely, I'll say this, if I shave my entire beard
Don't you dare.
and maybe leave a little bit on the chin, just a little bit. Yes, I could definitely look Puerto Rican.
Nah, I'm good. Don't do that. Your glorious beard? Never. You do not sacrifice it just to
No.
prove a point.
Oh, no, of course not.
No,
But I'm just saying I could.
I believe it.
Problem is, I'd be petty enough to do such a thing.
You know what? Valid. Absolutely valid.
I am very much a petty being, and I will find ways to be petty, especially in crazy whirlwind situations that one cannot control.
I do
So
not.
if it were me, I would do it.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that you should or that you shouldn't. I'm just going to sit here and say, I wish you well because I can't. I have tried for years to tan. Even like, and everybody goes, oh, does this fake tan work on you? No, it doesn't. And everybody's like, how? I'm like, because I don't look natural.
Yes, that's what I tell people all the time. Because they're like, oh, why don't you put like a sun drop or whatever that stuff is called? And I'm like, because then I literally look like a crayon.
Yeah. It doesn't
Because it's
look
not
normal.
natural.
It does not look normal.
It
My
looks
skin
like
is
someone
so
colored on me.
Thank you. My skin is so pale that even if I got the lightest setting of a self tan or a spray tan, I'd still look weird.
I think people forget that like not even just to ourselves we look weird, but it's like I feel like naturally people's bodies, like all of our features are inherently made to like complement each other. So when you're somebody that naturally does not tan, it's just like it's almost like it throws off the entire equilibrium of what you look like.
Right?
If you try to do something like that.
God, like imagine if I ever was able to find something that would actually make my skin look a beautiful tan. All of you would lose your fucking minds.
Out the window.
All of you would just be.
I would be
I don't know why. I feel like it just wouldn't fit. I don't know why.
No!
I'm just like, what the fuck?
You literally, honestly, and this is, if I ever tried to tan, it would look like I was doing blackface.
oh my God.
It would. It would. Even if I get the wrong concealer that is just a shade too dark on my skin, I look crazy. And that's
It
concealer.
looks like, like in the early 2000s when everyone was wearing like concealer that was like 5 shades, not their
Dude.
shade.
Not me. I didn't do that. I was a goth child in the early 2000s and I went paler. Like, I found foundation that made me look white, like chalk. So, nope,
Yeah.
not me. But, you know, if you guys aren't following us on all of our social medias, why not? We have so much fun shit that goes there. Plenty of interviews that have been going out on our YouTube and on our Instagrams. Announcements on where the Feinics Gate's gonna be next, and amazing news in Feinics Gate plethora, I guess would be the right word. Yeah, I'm gonna go with plethora.
Conglomerate?
Is we now have a Shopify where you can go and buy Feinics Gate merch, Feinics Gate custom creations, and on top of that, we have a pre-release going on right now for the new Magic the Gathering Marvel Heroes that's dropping at the end of June.
Fuck yeah, we do.
And we're gonna have the Hobbit, the new one coming out after that, the Hobbit after that. So yeah, and oh, did I mention that I also have the new Pokemon? Because I do. So you guys should go check out my Shopify. I'm gonna put it in all the link trees on all of our socials. So if you're not following us, that's your loss.
Shop indie, and also to our local Queens folks and Jersey folks for Crimson, shop local.
Yes.
Yep.
Don't give money to Bezos. Give it to me.
Exactly. I feel much better giving money to literally anybody but Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. For real. For real. That man is a horror show in so many
I look
ways.
out
In so
and I
many
think,
ways.
wow.
But it's funny that you mention the nightmare that is Jeff Bezos, because what are we talking about tonight, kids?
We're talking about horror.
And the renaissance that is what the horror genre has become in the past few years.
Oh, hell yeah. Because I feel like there's no way to compare the films that have been coming out and receiving critical acclaim and not say there's been some form of horror renaissance.
I mean, honestly, horror is really clawing its way into a new golden age. Like, this isn't an old mask guy with a knife era by itself, or not just torture porn, shockwaves. I mean, this is a haunted carnival with every subgenre that's mutating at the same time. And I think it's fucking
that's
amazing.
the most exciting thing.
It is. It is. And the other thing, a lot of people don't realize what the horror genre does the best is that it adapts faster than any other genre.
I would agree with that because a lot of horror does come from social commentary. And I feel like if folks are going to sit there and be like, there's nothing political about horror.
Yes, it is.
I would have to tell you to sit and rotate because nearly all horror is political to an extent.
Yeah.
Especially modern horror. So I feel that's what allows it to adapt so quickly and so effectively.
Yeah.
No matter what subgenre of horror you're in.
Honestly, horror is like the raccoon of cinema. If you got a tiny budget, it survives. If you have a weird idea, it'll eat it. You know, like social anxiety builds a nest in it. It is literally the raccoon of cinema. Like, it can do almost anything. The only limit that we have is what the crowds will actually physically be able to handle.
Yeah. Even then, there are so many independent horror publishers, whether it just be like, there are specific horror short film festivals that have been running for years and years and years where you can really run more of that experimental stuff. So even beyond that, I think you think about YouTube horror, for example, and the fact that we've had 3 to 4 directors make like high grossing movies, like huge recoups on investment.
Yeah.
And they all came from YouTube, which was an independent creation station, is wild.
What do you think, Crimson? Like, horror metabolizes cultural fear faster than any superhero movie can do, I think, personally.
I think really it kind of comes down because that's the thing. I'm actually very big into horror films.
Yeah, you are.
My genre of horror films is I like zombie movies. That's just me.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a good one. But besides that.
So you're a pandemic trauma whore.
When it comes to when it comes to when it comes to like specific, I guess you could call it like subgenres to horror films.
Yeah.
Right? We usually see different waves come in of of specific subgenres. Like, for instance, at least as far as I can remember, some of the past films within the past, like 2-3 years prior, we were seeing a lot more gore and horror than anything else. Especially with at the time was the last recent Terrifier film that was released. Which, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Terrifier has more than just 3 films too as well. Like that's been a series of films that just progressively keeps outdoing itself in terms of the gore aspect of horror.
Yeah.
And honestly, hell, you could even throw. You could, I mean, with the way the film is structured, you can even say it's even I mean, it could even affect you psychologically. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember a couple people being very traumatized by at least the first couple Terrifier films, because they don't hold back. They actually do pretty well.
No, they do not.
No.
Heck, I think even the third film, the actor of art himself, and I'm not gonna say or mention what specific scene, but some people out there, if you're interested in seeing, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's during one of the scenes where it was a couple, and typical shit, like in most horror films, like, oh, they're going to kill off the couple and stuff like that. And, you know, in typical cliche fashion, he does. But it was the way he did it to one of them that really... the guy who's the actor of art is a dude.
David Howard Thornton.
Yes, guys would be very much queasy when they see this certain thing happening, because you know it's bad when even the actor himself had to take a step back and take a break, because he was getting a bit queasy from just doing it.
Yeah.
Like, did he almost vomit?
I think he did.
He did.
I think,
Like,
or he almost,
vomit.
yeah, he did.
He did.
It was that bad.
He was
Like,
able to do it, I think, if I remember reading about this correctly, I think he was able to do the scene once. Got it perfect.
Yeah, and then he couldn't do it anymore.
Got it perfect and had to stop filming for the rest of the day because he could not psychologically continue for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I believe that's what I read.
That's how bad it was.
That's how bad that scene was. And
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to you. I personally have refused to watch the Terrifier movies for several reasons. One of them being I hate clowns. I hate them. Like, nope. Mm-mm. Now add in a murderous fucking mime clown. I'm good. Thank you. Don't come near me. Don't come near me. And it's funny because, like, horror evolves almost immediately in so many ways. Like, it has so many avenues. Like, you have economic anxiety, political tension, loneliness, pandemic trauma, as I mentioned earlier, because, like, you know, zombie movies or anything that has, like, a pathogen shit. The loss of identity, social media paranoia, you know, and the list can go on, but, like, honestly, like, the elevated horror boom, I want to call it, is because the impact of horror movies has become undeniable, where we went from campy, silly, kitschy shit in, like, the 80s to legitimate, like, fucking freaky ass shit in the 90s. Back to, we were kind of making fun of stuff in the early 2000s, but it was still had some legitimate good ones that were hidden away, some gems in the early 2000s. And then
movies.
Yes. And then as you got, you know, to where we are now, you have movies like Hereditary, Midsummer, Get
I
Out,
love all those movies.
you know, The Witch.
I'm indifferent on that one, actually.
Really?
Which one?
Hereditary. I didn't like it.
I love Hereditary.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
like
and
that
this
one.
might be bold for me to say. I'd give it like a fucking 2 out of 5.
That's fair.
I did not find Hereditary like. It just, there was so much stuff that was completely unexplained.
Well, that's the whole point.
Like, at all.
That's the whole point.
But that's the thing. It's no, I get that, and I understand having the mystery aspect of it. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like there was too much that was unexplained. Like, I understand having a level of that, but that's like, there's like too much. Like, they left. I feel like they left out too much, and it's just like, why the fuck? Like, what? what the, like when I finished watching that film, I left it going like, what the fuck did I just watch?
That's actually not an unpopular opinion. Like, I've heard a lot of people, like, not even just like friends of mine, but people who, like, for a living do short form content about horror films. A lot of people do feel that way. I think it's a very niche type of horror.
Yeah.
But I think everyone can agree that Toni Collette should have been nominated for an Oscar for that role.
Yeah.
Because she was so fantastic.
Oh no, I'm not saying actors
as
didn't
the
do good.
mother.
The actors
Oh
did
no,
their,
that's what
their
I'm saying.
job. Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
The acting was
everything
great.
about it is really great, but also like it totally makes sense that you feel that way because you're not the only one that feels that way.
Right.
Like for me, I liked the mystery of it because that wasn't the focus. Because for me, the focus was more about a family disintegrating than the actual like paranormal stuff going on. But I also know that that's also something that people didn't like. They were like, it's focusing too much on the family and not enough on the drivers that are leading this family to collapse.
Right.
So
you want
really
to know
just
what
like,
I found? You want to know what I found?
Preference.
Yeah. You know what I found, like, that gives that good level of, like, in talking about Hereditary and talking about, like, kind of having that good middle ground
Yeah.
between mystery and you explain the story a little bit. Sinister.
Yeah.
You ever watched that film before?
It's a good one.
I feel like I have, but I'm not mentally picturing it right now.
So Sinister. So let me stop me if from explaining it any further. Well, I could probably explain just for the people out there who haven't watched it. But Sinister is pretty much about it's a movie on a family who moved into a house, and they the previous family that used to own it were killed. Who killed the family? Nobody knows. This and that, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward a little bit. The current family that lives there found stuff within the attic of the house. And the dad was essentially like playing through old, like, and we're talking about like old film, like the ones that you usually see like at the old movie theaters, like type of machines and stuff like for recording.
8mm film.
And yes, thank you. Because I forgot the name of it. And he starts playing through it and he starts noticing, some of the family videos and stuff like that. And then it shifts completely a whole 180 to this, like, just being really dark. And he starts seeing the families, more than one, he ends up finding out that were killed at that house by a spirit. Actually, might not even be a spirit. They then specified what it actually is in the second film.
So you're
and
telling
they go into
me
detail on it.
You're telling me that Sinister, in a way, took Amityville Horror and Poltergeist, made a baby, and said, "Here you go."
I wouldn't even say Poltergeist because he actually does show up. And the creepy part about it, I don't know, it's not even like, there is some scary parts. Like there's the typical jump scares in most horror films and scary films and all that. But it's also very eerie because a lot of times when that, I don't even know what to really call it. I don't know, I'm just going to call it an anomaly of some kind. But it is whenever he's on screen, that is almost like a gateway for him to escape or come into the mortal realm.
Like The Ring.
In a way, yeah. And what's really fucking eerie about it is that if anybody even pauses the film on him and they even look away for 2 seconds, he looks at them and then goes back into the same position that he was paused in, which is the most creepiest shit.
Oh, yeah.
That actually sounds really interesting. It would definitely be something up my alley. Like, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. But from what you're saying, I feel like I'd really love it because I love true crime and I love, like, paranormal horror.
Yes.
Like, I'm a big supernatural horror fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, some of my favorites are, like, the Conjuring movies, Insidious.
Yeah.
Like, I love all that stuff. So this would definitely be one that I would find super
But this
interesting.
is a
And
prime
I
example.
want to say this is also based on I could be wrong. I might have to double check on it. I'm not too sure if it's based on a quote unquote true story or not.
Uh-huh.
But even then, so when they say that, they'll probably stretch the truth a bit in these types of stories. But yeah.
No, but this proves that horror, like just talking about this one movie alone, proves that horror can be artistic, psychological, award-worthy, deeply personal, and prestige cinema all at the same time, where before these movies were treated like the dirty basement genre. You know, like it was
like,
like, oh, you watch that? Okay.
yes.
What's wrong with you? Like, why,
Are you perturbed?
like, are you emotionally disturbed? Are you like a serial killer? Do I need to worry about you? Like, are you gonna like,
Well,
are you,
everyone should worry about me.
right? But like,
Yeah.
because of this, it like stopped being that, and it literally turned around. The genre turned around, donned a full fucking makeover, and walked into the film festival wearing their funeral veil and expensive boots, and literally said, "Hi, I'm here now. Okay, thank you." Like, dude, yeah, it did, Eclipse. Yeah, the podcast kitty agrees.
Eclipse agrees.
But like, this is what it's cool.
He says yes.
He does. This is what's cool though. But older horror, like obviously, like we're going back to. You could even bring up
Frankenstein,
the universal horror
Monster.
monster movie boom of the 1930s. You know,
Love Universal monster movies.
so
Yeah.
like older horror is often punished bad behavior. Like, okay, you did something wrong. Now this person comes and is like, "Wah," you know, kind of shit. But modern horror asks you, what if your body betrays you? I.e., zombies, being possessed, stuff like that. What if technology knows you better than you know yourself? Any type of modern horror movies that involve like computers,
Social
AI,
media.
social media,
Oh yeah.
all that stuff.
We've had a couple of those.
We do.
I would say one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts of horror, besides like folk horror, because that's a whole thing on its own, and I really loved the resurgence of folk horror.
Yeah.
Like I recently went to go see Hokum, and I can't scream his praises even more. Like the first thing I said to Ralph after he came out was, "This is what what the director of Weapons thought he did with his first movie, but done right."
You're a monster.
I don't disagree
But
with you.
besides the point, I think one of the big things with horror now that I find really intriguing is I love the whole feminine rage subgenre. That's a
Jennifer's
whole other
body.
discussion. Jennifer's body. But I also love the idea of, what if your villain is not the villain? Or what if you, as the protagonist, are the villain in the horror movie? You might not think you are, but you are.
For real. For real.
And I really love that mind fuck. And that's why I've been really, really, like, just really trying to go see Obsession.
You know who started that trend, I want to say?
Directed by Curry Baker.
You know, want to start? I would say that particular genre, and don't kill me if I'm wrong, but I think Saw started that. The Saw movies.
I wouldn't disagree.
The Saw movies, I think, were what put that particular subgenre where you are not the hero of the story. The hero is not the hero. You're fucked up. You fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's one of those things too where it's also one of those ones where people don't end up surviving a lot.
Exactly.
Like,
I love a lot of righteous revenge.
They'll just narrowly escape, but they're scarred for the rest of their life.
I don't disagree, and that's kind of why I want to say that Saw really, because there were movies that came before that where it's like, okay, this is a revenge story. This is because you did something wrong, and this is the consequences that have visited upon you. Like, you could say that even the Jason movies are all about that. You know?
Yeah.
Jason.
The core story, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Like, we could go as far back as Nightmare. You know, we like
Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger, because, like, you know, he did these things because they did these things, but he was doing things terrible first. The genre has evolved. I would say that Saw put it on the map where neither person is the hero here. Nobody is blameless in this movie. You don't have the innocent bystander in any of these movies that just happens to die. Because that's just
Art the clown just side-eyeing this.
basically. But I mean, like, dude, that's just but this is my personal opinion, and that's kind of why I think that indie horror is basically carrying the entire genre right now. Because, like, big studios doing what they do is great, whatever, you know, like M. Night Shyamalan, whatever, blah, 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 with the twist horror and all that fucking shit that they did, alien horror, all that stuff. Yes, we need that. We love that. But indie creators are the necromancers that are reviving true weirdness and horror, and I am living for it.
I 100% agree. And I actually sing this praise to everyone, like, as a big film buff. And people will sometimes, like, you know, poo-poo me on this opinion. I understand that A24 has also made some really cringy, like, movies. Here's the deal, though. A24 really was the first independent studio that said, hey, we have some budget to get your indie movies into movie theaters. Let's make it happen.
No,
So
Blumhouse.
people can tell
Blumhouse.
me that, like, some of those decisions were cringy, some of those movies were not good, but I think that's in any case, right? But without A24, I feel like there would be no indie horror scene the way there is now. There would be no indie teen drama films, even, like things like Lady Bird. People forget that was all A24.
Blumhouse Productions also did that, and I believe they were around before A24.
Yes. The reason I don't say Blumhouse is just because A24 really plucked a lot of true grassroots indie directors. Because while Blumhouse is great, they've kind of strayed away from that.
Yeah.
While A24 continues to make that this central pinnacle of everything they do. That's not saying they might change. But they've been holding really true to that.
They've been going
and I really
back.
respect them for it.
They've been going back. Blumhouse has been going back. And also, honorable mention is Neon.
Yes, Neon. Oh, thank you for bringing that one up.
Neon. They're giving audiences stranger and riskier fucking stories. Like, how they get approved in a lot of ways is just like, what? You know, I mean, and streaming definitely, I think, helped horror. Like,
oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, audiences can now gamble on, like, the weird horror movie when they can't sleep because they have insomnia at, like, 1 o'clock in the fucking morning and then get sucked into something and then be, like, afraid of every single shadow.
That's how I used to be.
Yeah.
I just ended up numbing myself to films now.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, honestly...
I can literally see someone's head get torn off and then just sleep soundly at night.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like, but horror, I think, honestly became the Midnight Goblin King of streaming. It really did. Because they even have, like, so many separate channels on streaming. They have a whole subscription service that you could go to for horror for streaming. And you can watch, like, literally anything on these fucking things. It's great.
Yeah.
Like, even the fucking real tchotchke, kitschy, campy bullshit that you're like, why was this made? You can watch. Like, the Velocipaster.
I love that type of horror, though. I feel like a huge part of horror, too, is just the kitschy horror comedy of it all.
Yeah.
Because I also feel that horror in and of itself, even when you're talking really serious horror, is at its heart campy. And I love things that can kind of balance those two things. Like Get Out, despite being a really heavy story, has a lot of humor in it and a lot of camp in it.
Fun horror is great. I love fun horror. Because we can go super fucking crazy bleak with horror, but fun horror, it always gets me. Because, like, dude, it's campy. It's got practical effects, which a lot of things moved away from with computer CGI and now AI. But a lot of these movies stay true to the practical effects artists. And I fucking live for it. because these are the ones that also usually have the most absurd fucking gore.
Oh, hell yeah. The more practical you are in your film visuals, the more invested I will be. Like, this is something that people know about me. Like, one of my favorite things about movies are practical effects. I could go deep on it for like hours.
Yes!
So, especially horror movies that don't let go of that aspect are so near and dear to my heart. And when I see newer horror films that still use those practical aspects and the makeup and the prosthetics, that's how you automatically draw me in as a viewer.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Especially in just like this era of like inauthenticity. It's so nice when you see, like, even when I recently saw Hokum, like, there's a lot of like really interesting visuals in that movie because it's a folk horror movie at its very core, but specifically an Irish folk horror. So the very creepy visuals they had were all, you could tell, practical effects makeup.
Yeah.
And it just made the film feel so much more elevated and so much more real. And then in turn, made it scarier and isolating and more resonating as an audience member.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to know something funny too? It's funny that you mentioned about effects and stuff like that. When it came to I mean, they still do it now, but they've used a little bit some other. I don't think they did. I think they might have used a small bit of like green screen and CGI. But Terrifier, when they first started, all of their effects that they used were all cosmetic stuff, and a lot of it too was also like props. Like, they did some really good, like, obviously if you keep the camera on the props long enough, like, you'll tell, like, oh yeah, it doesn't really look at like it like that. But like it's the when it comes to films, especially horror films, if you don't keep the camera on the check for so long, because then again, who is going to watch a film in slow motion like that, right? Where you just see the thing frame by frame, you can see every micro detail on it, right?
Fucking real.
When you're filming something fast, like any fast scenes, people are not going to immediately look at, oh, like, yeah, that's that. Look how poor detail that dead body is. Like, no. But I think the way that some of the earlier Terrifier films and the current too, but they've only upscaled and improved since then. But the earlier films, especially when it was still an indie film, at the time, they used a lot of props and cosmetic effects so good to the point where it's like it just looks so realistic.
So
like,
I have a question
so
for you
realistic.
then. I have a question for you both. Would you
Yeah.
say, with the films that have been coming out lately, that we are entering another practical effects era?
I would like to say so, yes.
I would say no.
Okay, defend.
I would say not practical effects. Well, we could say in terms of Iron Lung, that film, yes, but not a lot of films. If we're talking more indie, possibly yes. But honestly, I would say we're going to be going more into an era of psychological horror.
Okay.
More than anything.
Would you say that because this is more psychologically a horror genre that we're heading into, like, this is what we're going to see more of, would you say that horror fans are more emotionally resilient than the normal moviegoer?
The normal moviegoer? Yeah, I would say.
Yes, but also I find there's a very interesting connection, and they've done a lot of studies on this, for people who actually, like, as someone who has anxiety and depression, like, diagnosable, like, previously diagnosed, and take medication for, they've actually said that people who have disorders such as depression, anxiety, BPD, they're more drawn to horror films, which I find to be very interesting, because normally people would look at us and be like, you shouldn't be someone that can handle this.
Fuck your life. Bing bang.
Yeah.
But
We
it's
totally
almost
can.
like, I can at least say for me, and maybe like if I'm going to like almost like therapize myself a little, I think it's because the fears are so like almost like minimal compared to like what my anxiety can like bake up in its head.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
also because horror films have taken such a route that are so based in people's psychology, I'm able to connect with them more. So then I feel more engaged as a viewer. So then I care more about what's happening. So like, I love the OG, like, don't get me wrong. I love the OG slashers. I love a good slasher. I really enjoy that.
Creature
But-
features.
Exactly. I love creature features. But the reason that I love things like Pearl, for example, is a slasher, but it's more about the psychology of Pearl. And that's what I find really interesting and really compelling about modern horror, is you don't just get someone swinging an axe anymore. You get, oh, this person is swinging an axe, and obviously the bad guy in this story, but also like they fucked up.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
prime example, Crimson and I, we've watched the, what is it, Black Phone?
I
Yeah,
love that
Black
movie.
Phone.
So we watched
But
Black.
we watched
Story
it, we
too.
didn't just watch. We watched Black Phone, but we just finished watching recent because it just came onto Netflix, which was Black Phone 2.
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's good.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now.
It's
So
good.
Okay,
they
gotta
just
check it out.
added it on.
It is an excellent continuation of the first one, and I love this for this series because they brought back the same actors.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know Mason Thames came back. I know Ethan Hawke came back.
Yes.
I also know they made sure that Joe Hill, the original author who Jade and I got to meet at New York Comic Con,
Oh, such a great
human
time.
being,
Yeah.
of the original short story from his short story collection, 20th Century Ghosts, on to help with the creative direction
Yeah, because
for
they're
where the grabber
Yeah.
would go next, which
it
I
was
love.
it was so good.
What-
It gave and what I like
Yeah.
the most about this one is the first Black Phone gave us paranormal but also psychological and gore. There was gore. Not as much, but a decent amount, considering. It gave us all three. And it definitely gave us
Yeah.
the jump scare and all the stuff that you expect. And it is definitely, I would call it definitely it could fall in a slasher. The second one, without giving too much away because you have not seen it yet, is
Definitely falls under paranormal.
I would say it's a lot more paranormal, a lot more slasher, definitely a lot more gore.
I feel like that makes sense,
Yeah.
though, because of where the characters' ages are, which I think is really cool. Because he's like a little kid in the first movie, and he's like, what, like 16, 17,
17.
technically, in the film. So for the next one, for Black Phone 2, I think that's kind of fun because I have seen previews of it, and I love that they like aged up the genre along with the actors, because based on the time period that it takes place, that would be like slasher, summer camp, like kind of vibes.
Well, yeah,
Like
because
that's the kind of movie that Mason Thames would be in.
right.
So
'cause
I think that was a really cool transition.
Yeah, no, I agree because like we mentioned the universal monster boom of the 30s and then you had the psychological horror wave of the 60s and 70s. So obviously Black Phone is going to the first one is going to fall since it's in like 1976 or 78, I believe this happened.
Yeah.
And, obviously we're going to do the psychological horror, but then you have the slasher explosion of the 80s. So obviously this movie takes place in the 80s. We're getting more slasher. And I love that they are actually paying attention and following and doing that, as well as still giving us an actual original fucking story that does not sit there and be like, oh, this is like this. Like I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And, then of course, I'm mad at Crimson because Crimson got me to freaking jump while we were watching the film, and I was like,
it wasn't even like, and it was just in the beginning.
it wasn't even a scary part, but he still managed to freak me out.
Exactly.
And I was like, I hate you. I hate you so much.
I
But
literally just nudged the couch. I was like, oh.
You see, My favorite thing about watching horror movies with my partner is like he doesn't dislike them at all. He does enjoy them, but he's like a scaredy cat compared to me. So it's really fun when we go see certain things because like I love that he said like one of his favorite things about me is whenever there's a jump scare in the movie theater, people jump and I sit there and like giggle to myself.
Yeah.
Because he'll be jumping and I'll be like laughing.
Yeah, I do that
Because
too.
it's just so, I think that's something that horror is like, people forget about horror. I think horror is just so fun. At its core, it's a fun genre where there's so much to do. There's so many interesting avenues you can go down.
He jumped out a
And-
window.
It's a great like film experience. Like I feel like every time I've seen a horror movie, I've had a great experience with an audience because people get really invested in horror
Yeah.
because of that psychological pull
Yeah.
in
Hell
a
yeah.
way that they don't in other films, in my personal opinion, because I do go to the movies a lot. So I feel like I get more out of that audience than say when I go see a rom-com or I
Lavender
go
is
see like a
definitely our
hardcore drama.
cinephile. Lavender is definitely our
Yeah.
cinephile. But
One thing
like,
I do want to mention, hold on, before we continue, because I wanted to mention this back when we were talking about the whole psychological horror.
Yeah.
The reason why I also want to add on to why I feel like it's also shifting more towards the psychological horror, it is starting from just the fact that the way Iron Lung was. And
so good.
also some of the future
So
and some of the
great.
future films and the direction that they're planning on taking this. Like for a prime fucking example, the newer Resident Evil film that's going to be releasing later on this year.
Mm.
We don't wanna talk about that.
They're not going down. Why?
eh. Eh.
Don't like it?
It's not, I kind of feel like it's insulting the franchise, but we could talk about that because honestly, we are
Yeah.
mostly focusing on movies tonight, but we are forgetting like in a insane freaking genre that honestly I think rebirthed horror in a lot of ways, and that's the video games. And I want to talk
Yeah,
about, I want to
no,
give
definitely.
I want to give video games their full hour. So can we not talk about what is most likely going to piss off a lot of the Resident Evil fandom?
Well, it's just a brief thing. It's just mostly because of the direction that the director or whoever is in charge of that, their thought process is like they're trying to do a different take on it.
Yeah.
First off, for if people don't already fucking know, I'm a huge fucking Resident Evil fan.
Yeah, you are.
Am I happy with this? Fuck no. Am I willing to give it a try? Yes. But if it fucking flops, I'm going to be very pissed.
You see,
Agreed.
my problem, Crimson, is even less about what they're doing with Resident Evil, and admittedly more that I think Zach Krager is the most overrated director on the face of the planet.
Absolutely.
And I know I'm pissing people off by saying this. Like, he's a good guy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he has a great
Oh, of
story. He's done a lot of great things. He's one of the few people that is totally self-made. And I tell people this all the time about him. I think he's 2 or 3 movies away from making a really great movie. I just think the problem is the movies he has made, in my opinion. Like, I hated Barbarian, mainly because I felt it missed the entire point of its whole, like, atmosphere it built. And then to me, it was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then the ending fucking sucked. And I felt the same way about Weapons. I was like, it built an interesting atmosphere, but he's, in my opinion, not good at follow through.
Yeah.
So I think Resident Evil is not the move for him. I think he should be still working on some more independent stories, because I remember after I saw Weapons, didn't like it, but I said to Ralph, you know, I don't think he's a bad director. I just think he's so, for whatever reason, people like puff him up so much, and I'm like, he's not that good yet.
We've talked about this. We have
He needs
mentioned
a little
this.
bit more under his belt.
We have talked about this.
More under his belt.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Lavender has mentioned this before when we have talked about other like things, because we did talk about Weapons in the past, like on a couple of our old podcasts. If you guys want to go check it out, definitely scroll back. It's we gave a full review, I believe, of that movie.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We did
Honestly,
a
I
whole
think
honest review of weapons, and you did
of just
mention you said that
everything.
last time. Yeah.
So I think Resident Evil is not his move. I think he should have done some more unique, interesting stories, really honed his craft,
Yeah.
and then did Resident Evil. But that's
Agreed.
just my opinion. And I'm not saying it can't be good, but it's
No,
not
of
something
course.
I'm rushing to see.
It's of course, but my thing too is also it doesn't there, which is why I mentioned about the psychological horror, is that he's making the direction he's going with when it comes to the Resident Evil film. It's very much more gravitating towards the psychological, more paranormal horror than anything else. Which for me, it just like I'm looking at it a little bit. Well, paranormal might be a stretch, but it's still more of that like mysterious factor to it, more than a hey, this is a fucking pandemic like horror film, rather than it's just like essentially it does not have the blood of Resident Evil coursing through it. Like you can tell, it just has the name. Which at that point, that's no pun intended. That's just a carcass, because that has no life to it. He needs to be able to breathe life into this film if he wants it to succeed. Which
I hope he will.
I'm not.
Listen, I'm keeping my
I have
opinions.
my doubts, but I still give it a try.
Yeah, I'm keeping. I don't want to say hope alive for this one. I'm not saying hope. I'm going to keep my opinions open. Is that better? I'm going to keep my opinion open.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go in thinking that it's like, ugh. Okay, I'm going to give it a fair shot. And if it sucks, I'm going to if it sucks, I'm going to fucking eviscerate it.
Valid.
Yeah.
I think that's
But
good.
now talking since we finished, since we're on the subject of Resident Evil anyway.
Get over
We could talk about that, since it kind of segues into the whole video game genre and horror, how it pretty much, and I would say what would be like a prime example of like the grandfather of horror games. There's only a few that I can even think of, which is like the whole Resident Evil franchise. We can even throw in like what?
Silent Hill.
House of the Dead. We could start from arcades. Let's start from arcades.
Yeah,
first.
but I want to dedicate an
House
entire.
of the Dead series.
I want to dedicate. I want to give horror video games the credit that they are due, and give them their whole hour. That's what they deserve. Horror video games are actually, for a long time, were better than the entire horror movie genre.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like they deserve their own episode, and I fully think that the Feinics Nation will agree with me. But I want to ask what your closing thoughts are on the horror renaissance that we are seeing in film.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really love how horror continues to evolve. It continues to one-up itself. I think the fact that we've brought in so much more international horror films to a scale, thanks to studios like Neon with Parasite. And I feel international horror is just so intrinsically interesting and also deserves its own episode, especially Japanese horror.
Oof.
But I just love that horror continues to take leaps. It continues to be creative. It continues to try new things, even if I don't love it, a la Zach Krager. I may not love his movies, but he always tries something new. And I don't think any other genre really has that ability. And that's why I continue tuning in. It's why I even go back to old horror genre films. I just watched It Follows for the first time, and I was really impressed with it. It's just, I feel timeless. but also timely in the stories that it tells. And I'm only seeing good things here on out. Like, I'm very excited to eventually see Curry Baker's new film, Obsession, and I'm very excited to see what else is going to be coming out this year, especially thanks to Shudder's films like Dolly now coming to theaters.
Hey,
Yeah.
Crimson.
I mean, some of my final thoughts, I guess, just in the whole, as horror films as a whole. I mean, hell, there's always going to be different subgenres that kind of stick out or become a little bit more of a fan favorite.
Of course.
In terms of just overall or genre, I would say for new people, for new people out there who are interested in ever just diving into the horror genre, I think anything as far as starting off with something simple. You can start with like paranormal stuff and then kind of segue into like more gritty stuff like either Terrifier or anything like that. And then see what kind of genre kind of appeases to your I guess needs as what you consider like kind of your favorite. In terms of overall, I think the direction that horror is going, I think it's not bad. There's a lot of interesting horror films coming out. So as far as what I could even say would be the future of horror films, like what would be, what's to expect for the future, I can't even tell. Just we would have to see as the year goes on, and I'll kind of give my thoughts on it.
I agree. I agree with both of the things that you said. For me personally, I'm more excited to stretch the limits of what the human psyche can handle, I guess is the right word. I definitely am looking forward to a lot of the stuff that is coming down the pipeline, like obviously the next Evil Dead. I want to see Hokum, as Lavender mentioned. There's a lot of stuff that will be coming out. Obviously, we're going to get a nice little boom around fall because we always get the good stuff around fall. We don't really get summer release horror, which unless it's like not really a horror, but it kind of is kind of thing. So I'm just happy that I can get the campy, kitschy crap movies at the same time as I can get these beautifully done films that test the limits of the human mind and how dark the human spirit can actually get. The raccoon of cinema, and I will stand by that quote forever. So that's my final thought on it. And honestly, as always, Phoenix Nation, if you have any thoughts, please reach out on our social media, on our YouTube, on our TikToks, our Instagram. Hell, leave us comments through Spotify if you're listening to this episode and let us know what you think. We love a great discussion. So let us know what you think about anything we said about in this episode, and we would love to hear from you. So on that note, everybody say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.